We're going to be devoting some time today to tackling your tax bill, as we're going to tell you how you might be able to actually reduce it so that you'll have some extra cash to spend or save. So if you've got a question on any of this, give us a call. 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. JJ, you know, I think for self-employed people, most people kind of know that there are things that you can claim back because they're things that you use for your job. But do you think that people are well versed in what they're entitled to? Because there's a lot of help out there.
I'm self-employed. I have no idea what I can get. I've got an accident who is rubbish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I don't know if he's watching.
I hope he's.
I hope he's watching.
We gotta make sure you didn't.
If you're watching, Bilal,
Wow.
I'll call you later. I don't know what I'm entitled to, and I'd like to know what I'm entitled to, how I can reduce my tax bill, and how I can pay as little tax as possible. We know the super rich.
Wait. You just said how great it is in Denmark. They pay a lot of tax, and it's brilliant. And in the same breath, you just told me I'd like to pay as little tax as possible.
Yes, because everyone else is doing it. So I want to do it.
Okay, right. I'm not going to take you seriously. For
Emmanuel, help me.
Emmanuel, let us talk about these pockets of cash that are available to everybody. Yeah. It's really important. We need to stress this, that these are not just pockets of cash available to people who are self-employed or who have their own businesses. These are available to people who pay PAYE tax, or they're full-time employed in a company and their tax is deducted as source. Yeah. Because these things are personal allowances. Tell me a bit what they are, personal allowances.
Yeah, so personal allowances. So number one, we've all got, you know, the allowance that we saw earlier with the 12,570 that we're all allowed to...
You're allowed to earn £12,500 before you pay any tax.
Before you pay any tax, okay? So that's, everyone has that. We all have that own personal allowance before we pay tax. So everyone has that and everyone's entitled to that. But then on top of that, there are other allowances that we are able to claim that I think a lot of people don't know about, which we're going to go through and really try and highlight so that you know what's available to you.
Okay, let's kick off then. Let's start with what type of things can you claim on your personal allowance? Let's say, for example, people who are working from home, even though they're full-time employed, but they have to do a little bit of work at home. Yes,
so if you work from home, obviously now you work from home, while you're there, you're going to be using electricity, so you're not going to sit in the dark. You might have the heating on, you know, you might use a particular room, part of your house to work from home. So you might have a home office or use your living room, whatever it may be. You are allowed to claim part of those expenses. So whether that be your gas, electricity, and so forth, as part of the fact that you are working from home. And that's not as a business, that's as an individual as well. So you are allowed to do that.
So you're working for a company and they're saying you're allowed to work from home or you have to work from home. You're taxed at source. You don't really have to fill in everything every year like most self-employed people do, but you can make a personal tax allowance because you're using your home as a place to work.
Yeah, and this is what we call, where we do to talk about self-assessment. So people think self-assessment is only for people that are self-employed. Yeah. But self-assessment, it can be used for people, anyone earning money, and you can claim and use self-assessment to claim the stuff back.
This is fascinating. Do you know, I did not know that. I thought that you were either self-employed and you had filled self-assessment, or you had your own business, or you were working for a company, you were on their payroll, your tax gets automatically deducted, and what you get at home, that's all you had. You can't claim anything. Now, let's tell people as well, because we talked about it in the break, if all these things that we're discussing, where would you go to claim these? Because remember, we might be dealing with people who have never had to fill a self-assessment form. So where do you start?
So obviously, .gov's website is the best place.
Gov.uk.
Gov.uk is the best place to go. So you can go there and get information about the stuff that we're talking about. So you can Google it. They'll tell you the information about it, and then also how you can claim, what forms you need to fill out. A lot of it is online. So yeah, that's the best place.
There's the web address. You can see it on your screen now, gov.uk/claim a tax refund. Now, another thing that I found quite astonishing, if you have to wear a uniform at work, you are entitled to a little bit of cash.
I really didn't know people didn't know this.
Really? What? I didn't know. None of us knew this.
This is one of the oldest.
I knew I could claim, like, my leather look on stage.
But you're self-employed.
Yes.
So I think for self-employed people, we all know that if there's things that you use for your job, you can claim. but if you're working at a company and you have to wear a uniform.
So when I was a cashier and I worked for a bank, one of the first things they told us was, because you've got uniform and you have to wear this uniform, you can claim. And they gave us the form. They told us about it. Really,
But I thought the company pays for your uniform.
They pay for your uniform, but you have to dry clean it, right? So certain uniform is dry clean only. So you can claim.
I love it. Every penny does count.
Yeah, every penny does count.
Yeah.
So if you're having to wear, what would this? Can you say that a suit is a uniform?
Yeah, suit. That's what we had to wear. We had to wear a suit, and obviously with a suit, it had to be dry cleaned. And so we used to be. It was around £150. It wasn't a small amount of money. It was around £150. And what they would do is they would add it to that personal allowance that you have. Add the additional £150 to that, so that so that you wouldn't pay tax on the first £150 after your allowance. So that's how you get it back. But yeah, it's something that can be done. So it's really something that everyone should be doing.
Is it proportionate? Like, do they work out how much of your energy that you use in your home when you're working from home, or things? How does things like that get worked out? Is it on yourself?
It'll be the percentage of how much you use it. So, for example, if you're home, we look 2 days a week. So 2 out of 7, you'd claim, that would be the average that you claim of how much electricity and so forth you would use.
Look, if you're listening to this and you're wondering whether there's things that you can claim for your job and you're unsure of, pick up the phone, give us a call. Emmanuel will be able to tell you whether it can be legitimately claimed or how you can do it. So give us a call, 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. Get in touch whilst Emmanuel's still with us. What about those who use cars and things or vans for their jobs? But again, we're not talking about people who have their own businesses. We're talking about people who are employed by a company. If you have to use a car and things like that for your job?
So if you have to use a car for work, you should be able to expense this. Now, a lot of companies already cover it. But if they don't, so for example, if you drive to an office and that's your set office, on your contract, it has this office address, then you can't claim. That's part of work, driving to work.
Yeah.
But if you have to drive for anything else outside of that, then go into the office and you use your own personal vehicle, that can be claimed. And so you can claim that. Most companies will let you claim it through work, but if they don't, you can claim that as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's speak to Ray, who's called from Buckinghamshire. Ray, welcome to the show. What would you like to ask?
Well, thanks for speaking to me. On my tax from the customs revenue people, last year they said up till this April, my income tax code will be 65L. Now, I've got one yesterday saying, well, now for the next year, my tax code will be K58, replacing K38. I thought, hey, what's that about? I mean, I do have 2 private pensions and my old age pension. I am 88 years of age, but I'm still paying tax because of my pension. But this double tax change of the tax code confuses me. I've tried to ring them. 50 minutes yesterday,
Good luck.
50 minutes this morning, and all I get is lovely guitar music.
Apparently, they're experiencing high volume calls. That's since 2020, I think, the pandemic. Can you help Ray out here? I will put my hands out and go, I have no idea.
I don't know that specific, but I can Google it. So basically, your tax code is basically a code on how much tax you're gonna, how much your that allowance is. So most people have, as the tax code now is 12,570. Your tax code should be L12,570. That shows how much of the allowance you have before you start paying tax. I don't know Ray's one, but what I will do is I will search it and then I'll
well, I can tell you that the very clever people who live in my ear have Googled it, and it has to do with untaxed benefits. So this is something that you're entitled to, basically, Ray, and it's just a code that they stick on your tax form there. So it has to do with benefits that you're entitled to. Probably, they think, upstairs, your state pension. Ray, thank you. Let's talk about, I know you talked about cars and using them for work, but let's talk about travelling to work. Could you possibly claim for your, I don't know, really expensive season ticket on the train? You can't.
You can't claim that.
Oh, look, he looked at me with disdain.
I was like, where do you think you are?
Like, control yourself.
No.
But what if you need an expensive ticket because it's got a plug source so you can do your work on the train and stuff?
Good question.
Yeah, right, thanks.
No.
Yeah, you thought about
I
it.
thought about it and I said no. HMRC would say no. But what you can do, if you need to travel for work and you need to take trains and so forth, or if you need to stay in a hotel overnight, again, these are things that should be claimed.
Right.
A lot of people might not claim it because you think, oh, just part of my job. I love what I do, you know,
Okay,
so forth.
let's take a very quick call from Will in Derbyshire, who's got in touch. Will, good afternoon. What would you like to ask, Will?
Hi. Yeah, what it is, I'm an employed mechanic, and what it is, I buy all my own tools for my job.
Yep.
Yeah.
So can I claim anything back?
Yes. Simple answer, yes. If your work should supply you with the tools that you use for work, if they don't supply it and you buy it from your own money, you can claim that back.
There you go. Well,
an expense you can claim back.
I hope that you couldn't have got a clearer answer than that. Now, let's talk about marriage, because if you're married, you could be owed a tax reduction.
Yes, kind of. Not really.
Shell's ears have pricked up.
Yes.
What, does that comply if you've been married twice?
Don't run out and go and start getting married now. It's not as great as it sounds. So basically, there's a married allowance. So what that basically means is we all have a personal allowance, like we said. So if one person's working and the other one isn't working or isn't using their full 12.5 that they've got available to them, you can transfer 1,250 over to the other person to reduce up to 1,250 to reduce theirs. But
Right.
that's it.
So if your partner is earning, let's say, £1,300,
Yes.
and you've earned £7, you can transfer 1,500, so that both of you will not pay any tax.
So
because both of you will go underneath the 1,250.
Exactly that.
Okay.
Exactly.
Also, there's another one that I think is a really good one for people: rent-a-room schemes.
Amazing.
Okay, tell us about that briefly.
So this is something that I really do for a lot of my clients is if you have a spare room, so right now you need to make money, you have a spare room, maybe your kids are grown, there's a spare room, you can rent that room for up to £7,500 a year and pay no tax on it. It works out around £625 a month. So you can get an extra £625 a month. You do not have to declare it or anything like that. It's all included. So if you have a spare room or if you have big kids that should have moved out and they're still there, make them,
kick them out,
put them on a bunk bed and get money from that
Well,
room.
they're going to get £10,000, aren't they?
£7,500 untaxed. You don't even have to.
Don't even
declare
have to, as long as it's under that, you don't even have to declare it.
Okay, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Did you know that, JJ?
No, but I'm moving in with you.
You're moving in with me. We're going to get married as well.
I thought we
just
were
to take
buying a
advantage,
house.
just to take advantage of everything. Emmanuel, so many things there that I had no idea. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, that's it for today. Thank you to Emmanuel and Michelle and JJ. Jeremy's back.